what you are seeing here is Tradeify's built-in journaling platform. It's awesome. It's free and included in any accounts that you purchase. And it really does feel like I'm taking an in-depth look at my stats and understanding why am I succeeding as a trader or why am I failing. So as you can see, I started this account on February 26th, and the very first trade I took was a 2-contract position that lines up very similar to the traditional way that I trade the NASDAQ and the futures market. I like to use a small contract size. I like to hold for a large move, and I'm usually holding for a decent amount of time, or at least significantly longer than I hold my losers. And this first trade was no different. This was a 2-contract position where I held it for an hour and 23 minutes and was able to capture over 100 points on the NASDAQ on a long-sided position, right? Now, what I did by making around $4,300, and ultimately really what I did by making $5,700 on Monday, March 3rd, was I set myself up for the 20% consistency rule that Tradeify has on their straight to funded accounts. Remember, these straight to funded accounts have no evaluation, so I didn't have to complete any eval, like at all. All of the trades that I took directly counted towards my payout. Now, there's a trade-off, right? In order to skip the evaluation and not go through that at all, Tradeify requires a 20% consistency rule in order to request a payout. And what that meant for me is when I made 5.7K that day on Monday, March 3rd, it meant that that could not be more than 20% of my overall profits when it came time to requesting a payout. For me, the biggest focus was trading normally. I was aware that I was making more money than I was going to be able to withdraw. I did that with the intention of continuing to trade how I normally do, and knowing that if I made more, not if, but when I am called up to a live account with Tradeify, I will have a larger starting balance, right? Now, I traded through until I met the 20% consistency rule, until I met the 10 minimum trading days, and ultimately on March 12th is when I was able to take my first $3,000 withdrawal from this Tradeify account. And that was awesome. It more than covered the initial cost of the $150K account that I had purchased. And from there, I had set the tone and given myself a large buffer that I would be able to have plenty of space in case something were to go wrong on the upcoming trading weeks. However, another change that I made was realizing that I can trade significantly smaller and still receive the same size payouts and still ultimately get the same size live account balance. So now you'll see is as I started this second stretch of 10 trading days, I ultimately started to go with significantly smaller position sizes, aiming for smaller wins. Here I figured that if I could get myself about $1,000 per day, give or take 1,000, 1,500, somewhere in that range, I could just trade normally for the course of 10 days and ultimately would meet all the requirements needed for a payout. And as you can see, I was able to do that with on the 26th, I reached my next set of 10 trading days and ultimately was able to take a payout today on Tuesday, April 1st, once the payout window opened, which once again reset. And now I'm here to trade for another 10 trading days and get another $3,000 from Tradeify on this payout. So now today, I went right back to trading how I normally do, right? Looking at the stats that Tradeify has in their built-in journal here, you can see that I win about half my trades, which is very consistent with how I trade all of my other accounts. I'm a good loser. If I can win about half the time and make about 2x what I'm risking, then I am ultimately going to be a very happy camper and come out on top. And today was a perfect example of that. Today I first took a trade with 20 micros, the equivalent of 2 NQs, and I ultimately was wrong and got stopped out very quickly within 30 seconds for a loss of $700. Now, after I got stopped out of that trade, I remained patient, I stayed calm, and I ultimately ended up taking another trade with similar risk, right, and making a net profit of around $1,700, just over double what I had lost in the first trade. Again, the math is mathing with the style that I trade. I aim to win about half the time, and I aim to make about 2x what I lose when I do win. So on this trading day, I lost $700, then I made $1,700, and it left me with a net profit of around $1,000. Now, once I continue to trade this account for another 9 trading days and maintain my 20% consistency, I'll be able to take out another $3,000. And I'm extremely excited. I'm very happy with how this trading month went. I'm very happy with what I was able to achieve in this Tradeify account. And overall, I'm really happy with the Tradeify platform. I can't recommend it enough. They have been very straightforward. Their rules are clear. Their support is very promptly. And the gravy on top is just this journal. I mean, being able to look in and see the stats behind a trade that you take without having to go pay for a separate journaling platform is really advantageous for traders out there, right? So I'm a very happy camper. I will keep you posted with what happens to this Tradeify account, but I am excited to continue scaling it and then ultimately be called live using these profits. And I believe a maximum of 15K of them will be carried over into my live account with Tradeify once I am called live, and I can't wait. So if you're interested in checking out Tradeify, there will be a link in the description that you can use, and they are offering a discount at the moment, so make sure to check them out, and I'll see you in the next one.